Good evening and welcome to the created card class. I think it's week 4 now. We are going to be doing a larger card tonight. We're going to be doing a 5x7 card, and I've selected a few large size stamps that are basically just images. There might be one with sentiments in there, I don't remember. But first step tonight, I'm breaking it down into steps tonight if I can remember. Alright, step 1. Pick your stamp. I chose this one. It's one of my favorite stamps, and the colors I'm going to choose to go with it will be blues because I want it to look like underwater. So the inks I chose are Mermaid Lagoon and Uncharted Mariner. I'm going to get the corresponding color brush that goes with blues. You'll see I have a variety of brushes here. You probably don't want to go with the foam ones, but I'll have all these other ones. You may have to wait your turn if somebody else is already using the brush for that color. We're going to be using embossing powder tonight, but I'll put that to the side for now. Alright, after you've chosen your stamp, which was step 1, step 2 is get some painter's tape, and you're going to lay it where it is right along the card front side. The bend is right here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. I'll crease it a little to make it easier. You're going to lay it where it's right here along the card front side, and then you're going to border all the way around the card. We're doing a mask. Now that we have the mask done and our paper is a little bit taped down to our placemat, you are going to get your blending brush, choose which color you want in certain areas on this section right here. I'm going to do the lighter blue near the top, as though if you're underwater it appears lighter as you get closer to the surface because it's closer to the sunlight, and the Uncharted Mariner will be down lower. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll start with the light so that it's not saturating the brush with the dark color and I'm struggling to get it back to the light. But you just dab it in here, swirl it around a little bit. You may want to tap it off a little on the tape or on your placemat before you start blending. And you're just going to do circular motions as you move it around. You can do clockwise and counterclockwise. Gonna get a little more. One thing I am being aware of is I'm not going all the way to the bottom of the page here. I'm going to stop roughly right there. I may saturate it a little more, but for now that's all I want. And I'm going to move on to the Uncharted Mariner. Same blending brush because it's the same color. It's just a darker tone. I'm going to take it and start at the bottom and work my way up. You're going to see that they will start blending where they overlap. Now, I don't want to take this Uncharted Mariner, like, start it right there because it's going to be a harsh line. You're going to want to start at the bottom and work your way up, blending them together as you go. Alright, I think I want a little more color up here, so I'm going to come back in with the Mermaid Lagoon and bring it in, blend a little more, let them overlap. I might even just go ahead and bring it all the way down as I go. It'll help the two colors go together better. Alright, looks like I've got that about as good as I need to. I will lay this stuff off to the side, and I'm going to peel back my painter's tape here carefully. It can sometimes grab your paper fibers and try to tear your paper a little bit, so be careful when you're pulling it. Just go slow and pull back at a very steep angle like this. That helps prevent it from snatching your paper. Alright, so now we have this nice rectangular section in the center, and the name of the game for the card tonight is going to be using a stamp that is actually larger than the box that you've made to kind of break outside the box and make a different kind of image. Now with heat embossing, you are going to need to make sure that this ink is fully dried before you move on to the stamping of this. I'm going to have the MISTI there, but I'm also going to have my heat tool and my heat embossing powder. You guys might want to let me help a little bit with that just because you've never done it before. Let's decide where our jellyfish and possibly the bubbles. I don't know if I want to use the bubbles or not. We'll see. You don't have to use the entire thing if you don't want to. I kind of like it hanging off a little bit, maybe at an angle, maybe going back this other way. You know, just play around with it, see where you like the placement the most. Decide whether or not you want the bubbles on there. If you did, you'd obviously have to stamp it more than once. So you'd have to do a background layer with this, and that could get a little complicated. I'm only planning on bringing the black embossing powder tonight, so with that in mind, I'm going to skip the bubbles. Just do the jellyfish. I'm going to aim it a little higher so I can leave room for a sentiment down here if I want to. So I've got him a little angle right there. I'm going to bring in the MISTI to get my placement right, and then I'm going to fully dry this with the heat tool before I come back to stamp this. I'll be right back. Trying to make sure I get all the bubbles out here. Okay, now that I've dried this, I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool. You just kind of tap it on there and you'll see it looks like cornstarch or flour coming out, and you just dab it around, rub it real good over the paper. Remember that this helps keep the static down that would hold the embossing powder on areas that it's not supposed to. So next step, I will need to stamp my jellyfish. I'm going to use the Versamark clear ink. Just ink up the stamp really well. Press down real well. Gently lift. Got a fuzz on there. Okay. It looks like I got a really good impression with that one, so I'm not going to need to stamp again, which means I'll move all this out of the way. All right. Next thing you'll want is our sheet of glossy paper here. This is the one I always use. You're just going to set your stamped image right here, you're going to take this embossing powder and you're going to liberally sprinkle it over the area where the clear ink is. You can shake it around a little bit here and there to get it stuck on there. Just keep it over this paper and then lean it down, gently tap to get the extra powder off. Oh no, see, I missed that spot right there. Oh well. Maybe I can put a sentiment there or something. If you see any extra powder clinging where it shouldn't be, just brush it off with your finger. And the next step, we're going to carefully pick up the paper, funnel it down right back in that little container. And then set that to the side. All right. Now I'm going to take the heat embossing tool and I'm going to heat up this powder to make it shiny. You want to make sure that you haven't missed any spots. Kind of tilt it in the light, and you find any spots, I see one right here, where you have not melted it on there good, just turn the heat tool back on and get it real quick. Alright, looks like I got a pretty good impression on there. Looks like I missed a little bit of heat embossing powder up here at the top. Not a big deal. And right here, we'll just find some creative way to cover that up. It's alright to make accidents. It's okay to find areas that are imperfect. It gives a card character, and that's alright. Now, to complement this, I'm going to want to pick out a sentiment stamp to maybe go here. Maybe some embellishments to cover up some of the areas that don't look as good as they could. And I'm going to just do that real quick. So I've chosen this Love You stamp, and instead of putting it inside the box, I'm going to let this tail on the Y hang over the edge a little bit, because remember, the name of the game tonight is to make your stamp go outside the borders that you created. See, I forgot to use my anti-static powder tool that time. Alright, now I am grabbing some of my embellishments. I'm going to use these for my specific card because they look like water drops. And that's quite appropriate for what our scene looks like right here with the jellyfish underwater. So I'm going to grab some of the larger ones to help kind of distract away from my oops in the middle there. And might get a different colored one because you can see right through there. But you can draw attention away from your mistakes with the right placement of embellishments. So I'm going to stick a few of these here and there and then decide which other ones. I'll probably use some light blue or something to cover up those other spots. A clear over this one here. Hold it on there. But leave it to you. Alright, that's basically the card. You guys have fun with this. Remember, just don't worry about mistakes. No card is ever perfect. It's just how you hide your mistakes. So enjoy yourself.